This time in Yerushalmi Shekalim, Shekalim, the Art Scholars edition, we're on that, but we're starting the bottom of Zion base. It's Davis Memches. The last line, Tani, Mizrach Marav, which in the Vilna Yerushalmi is Chavav and base. The Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi is on Daf Yud Zion Amud base, 4 lines to the bottom. Okay, now I have a picture. We were talking about this picture is not according to the Yerushalmi; it's the Maskonas Bavli. Here we have a picture of what looks like Kodashim in the Shulchan's on the north, Menorah is on the south. Shulchan's always on the cell phone, and Menorah B'Doram. So it's Hashir Yatzbin. It's supposed to daven slightly towards the north. You want to get rich, slightly towards the south. You want to get smart. The Orna Kodesh is back here in the when it did exist in Bayis Rishon in the Kodesh Kodashim, which is towards the west, and the Mizbach Hazov is over here. We're going to come back to it later on, halfway into the house, into the Heichal, but in the middle. Okay, so now in this picture you have 5 of the Shulchan Shlomo on one side and 5 of Shulchan Shlomo on the other side, and same thing with the menorahs. That's the Maskon of the Bavli. Because the question we're going to ask, Yerushalmi is actually not going to answer. But the assumption of how many Yerushalmi is that it's all one long row. Okay, one long row from the of 10. And the Gemara, according to the Rebbe's opinion, first opinion, Mizrach Marvin is Rebbe, meaning they went from east this way to west that way, and it was one long row of 10 tables. And the same thing with the menorahs on the other side. There were 10 tables going from north to south, across this way. So the Gemara says, if it's east and west, meaning going from east to west, they can use any of the tables because they're all on the north side, where the shulchan is supposed to be. And similar to the north, so on the south side is supposed to be. If you're going to say you went from north to south, then you have 10 tables. Each of them is 2 amos. Now, first of all, as Bobby asked, 10 times 2 is 20, and the whole width of the heichal was 20 amos. So how did you get through? Right, you're going to get through. It's 20 amos. 2 times 10 going across the entire length. Again, one long row. But besides that, you couldn't use half the tables because they were going to be on the south side, right? So, there's a shulchan in the north, and the north, and that's no good. The shulchan was in the inner half, which means from this dotted line, which represents the inner half, towards the inside, and it was there you have the article diagram. You have there's the whole heichal, which is across, which is 40 amos. So they'll have to be in even the Mizrach Torah is in the inner 20 amos, and of course that's the outer half. There's 20, and on top of the inner half, which has the shulchan and the menorah and the Mizbach Torah, and the shulchan yanotz michatzi v'tan shulchan yanotz michatzi ba'is lifnim mashuch min hakotz kishtei amos in the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi. It says, and in the all the Farshim change the gears here too. Kishtamos umechza klapitz. It was much because the kishtamos it was on the klapitz off on the north side. It was 2 amos and a half, so that you don't have so the kohanim going with the lechem hapanim could go here in order to bring the lechem hapanim in to the shulchan, and because you have to go on the right side, so it had to be 2.5 amos with 2 kohanim who are carrying the 2 6 and 6 loaves. To be able to walk side by side. That's the Korban Eder brings down. Shnei kohanim hanosim shnei storim mochim zeh b'tzad zeh. The Taisus Garcia Moshe Shtamos and Mechza, which of course is the Gersos here in the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi. And the menorah is similarly opposite it on the south side. So Mizbach Hazov and also be'emtza bayis. The Mizbach Hazov is in the middle. Chodesh bayis mechetz lifnim. It divides up the bayis from from the middle and inwards. In other words, it's on the middle line. But but mashuch, and here it says kima klapi tzaf, and the Goraz gear says mashuch klapi chutz, meaning it's not in the same line as the menorah and the shulchan. It's further towards the outside, right? I guess it could be anywhere as long as it's within the inner half, but it had to be further out than the menorah and the shulchan. And v'kulam hayinusunim b'shisha b'asifnim. Yerushalmi says they're all from the a third of the a third way into the house. Now, how's it a third way into the house? If you take the totality of the length of the Kodesh Kodashim, which is 20 amos, and the Eichel, which is 40 amos, so they're a third in, right? Because they're 20 amos. They begin 20 amos into the Eichel, which is halfway through the Eichel, and which is a third if you're taking the Kachim into account as well. Okay, it's not taken precisely because there's a wall of the Kachim, but in any event, there's the a third into the entire. Okay, now let's talk about the menorahs. Eser menorahs also shlemers. Shlemar v'yas menorahs azov eser k'mishpatam teimechol chamesh min chamesh bismo. 5 on the right, 5 left. The question is, what does it mean 5 on the right, 5 on the left? Here it would be very nice. It was like this, right? 5 on the right, 5 on the left. They're all on the south side, no problem, right? But the Gemara doesn't necessarily, and what it says, doesn't necessarily understand that way. It says, maybe we say it's 5, the menorah, and then another 5, right? And that's possible to work out because the menorah didn't necessarily be 2 amos wide. You couldn't put 11 shulchanos because each one is 2 amos wide. You couldn't do that, right? Again, maximum 10, and even then, you have the Babavli's Kasha, how they get through. Okay, again, the Maskana is that there were 2 rows of 5, but in any event, according to but menorah, you could theoretically put 11 across, but then you're going to have half of the menorahs on this north side, right? Menorah has to be opposite the shulchan. That's mishkan teimana, right? So mata malom chamesh mean chamesh misol does it mean 5 on the right, 5 on the left? El chamesh mean menorah social Moshe chamesh mismora, and 5 on right side Moshe menorah and 5 left side menorah, but not going across, but like this. Okay, so and again, at this point, I think it's clear the Gemara could have given the same answer by the shulchan. Right, as the Gemara says, yeah, the Gemara doesn't bother. It's obvious. The same answer we given by the Shulchan as well, that it was 5 and 5, like in fact the Babli does say. Okay, so where it says, unlike what we said yesterday, by that they could have used any Shulchan, all the other menorahs were for decoration. Shemar says menorah says Zav and they were sell v'arab b'arab u'b'arab u'menorah hazov. The menorah says Zav hey dia. Which is one of the opinions we had yesterday. That actually maybe this is parallel here. Yeah, it's the same sheet as we had yesterday. I take that back because also yesterday we had Rabbi Tanakama said that only on Moshe and Rabbi Yosef said Al Kulam Masad Shulchan. So here it does the same thing. So I've been learning Var El Shemoshe Vachim and Nosam and Arab by Arab. The idea and Rabbi Yosef, just like I said, but Shulchanos, you could use the other ones as well. According to Kormei, used to take turns. You could have used any one of them. Shemar bes haminoros v'hanerosem lebarok mishpat livnei dvir zahav sagur. They're made of this special type of gold. So evidently, again, like Kormei said there, they use sometimes this one, sometimes that one. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this pasuk, these pasukim in Divrei Yom. It says, Zahav Sagur, right? They were closed gold. And then it says, next pasuk, Perch Neros, the flowers and the Neros and the receptacles for the oil, and the tweezers, Zahavhu, Michla Zav. They were Michla Zav, they were question what the word michlos were. What does that mean? So Bar first addresses the michlos of Hein kilu zav shlomo. They're taking these menorahs used up Shlomo's gold. a huge amount of gold in order to make these menorahs. Right. He said, Shlomo Niltel Ev Kikori Zav. He took 1,000 talents of gold. I don't know what a talent is, but that's how you translate kikar. Machlisa l'kur, he put it into a kiln. Motzian, and kept taking them out. In other words, he kept refining. Achomid echad. From 1,000 kur, he got one. Kikar zav tor osan. It was made of one kikar of zav tahar, but each of them started off being 1,000. So I don't know if it's a guzma, but it's a lot. He started with a lot of gold, and he kept on refining. It was the purest gold possible. And that's what Zav Sogar means. Zav Sogar means it was closed, meaning you couldn't take anything out. There was nothing else to take out. It was completely refined. So it was Zav Sogar, and it was Michla Zav, and it used up an astronomical amount of gold. And it's spending a huge amount of money on it. So the Tani, Rabbi Yosef said, "Ma'aseh menorah zav she'asa Moshe b'midbar." There was something happened to the menorah zav which Moshe made in the midbar, but he says seira dinar zav. Somehow they found it to be a dinar more than a kikar. That's very strange how it got larger over time. It absorbed from the air something impurities, but the Taknin Chadatin changes the girsa here. I don't see that he does not. Chaim doesn't change the girsa, but the Tanakh changes the menorahs mikdash. It shouldn't be that menorahs Moshe. It's menorahs mikdash, right? Voice say the because it was one of the ones they made the second base of mikdash. So we know only when they got very rich they made of gold. First they made of other metals because it's other metals. They got rich, they made of zav, but they found was a dinar extra than the kikar zav it's supposed to be. The article also changed the gear. Evidently, the Gemara Menachos also says that menorahs mikdash. I say he said menorahs. I see. He changed the gear. So I say Sarah menorahs also Moshe Midbar. Okay, that's the way he changed it. Now menorahs mikdash. I say dinar zav, but I say Sarah dinar so I say Sarah menorahs also Moshe Midbar dinar zav. The meaning is the same no matter how you change the gear. So. Anyway, they put it into the kiln 80 times. And they couldn't get it to be to lose anything. Nothing went. Nothing. So how did Shlomo do it? It wasn't chaser at all. In Menachos it says, in the Bavli it says that it was chas. They got the dinar out. It took 80 times so they got the dinar out. But even then, still, it was they took a much more elaborate procedure than Shlomo Melech. Shlomo Melech, they kept on went down dramatically, from 1,000 to 1. So it shouldn't take 80 times. So it would take 80 times. So according to the Yerushalmi, it seems that the kikar zav is not likuva because they didn't go down at all. But I guess it's like a midah mitzvah to make it precisely a kikar. But but in any event, whether it was they got it down or didn't get it down, you see, it goes down much more slowly, if at all. So Vios says, no, that's the way it is. It's appropriate. Ad lo yekama brare, before it gets fully refined, have a chaser sagin. It loses a lot each time put in a kiln. I mean, dukaima brare, once it's very, very refined, lo chaser klum, it doesn't lose anything. Okay. Okay, it says halacha dal. There's a little bit of chazar here. Shlosha says shavasu b'mikdash. There are 13 pushkas in the mikdash. Kosalim takli chari takli tikin. So the carbon Ada here gives, and the other version give the chazar shir. You'll give the chazar shir. The Takin Chadatin, Shebonos name Shikli Shanazu, they give the Shkolim of this year, Kshemagia Zman Truma, time Truma comes, like Gizbar Motzi, called Shkolim Shabbat Shofar, Gizbar takes all the Shkolim of Shofar, Minotzi and Lishka puts in Lishka, Teshtomem, so the Truma should come from them. Vasheni Koslov Takin Atikin, the second one, Takin Mishlevi Shikli Shanazu, Maybe it was on a shachakak if it missed a year, being the next year. No, so the shofar puts in the pushka, gives him a noislam, nosim shar lishka, and gives him, puts them in the shar lishka, which go to the other needs, which we spoke about previously. With kinin, then there's one for kinin, and that is shlishi kosel kinin vein term gedolim. These are large birds, and the gozle ola. The fourth one is gozle ola vein bnei yonah ktanim v'kulin on olos. Okay, then, so it says avakini chova lo shofar kin parish begmar. We already said this earlier. There was no pushka for the kini chova. So there was for larger birds, for smaller birds, for olos, and then was one for eitzim. So the korban misnad of eitzim rochim nosim neim toch. You want to give him the dove of eitzim. You put your money in there. Levona. For the Levona, Misnad Levona, Nosin Doma V'Teicha. You want to bring frankincense, so then you put your money in there. Zav L'Kapores, right? Misnad Zav Nos Nosham Odmei Shavio. You actually put real gold coins if you want, right? Or you give its value. Vuva L'Kapores, it was what the Kapores. Klamar L'Klishoris, not Kapores literally, because that was already made, especially by she didn't need it. But the Klishoris, it was a Klishoris, Shamizakosti Korean Kapores Zav, which are called Kipure Zav. The kippur, kippur means to like wipe your finger on the rim of the vessel. So it was the kli itself was called the kippur zav. The v'yom if you mekanech bem etzbo bein you have to wipe his finger because anything left on the finger from the previous Srika Saddam would be apostle. So that kapparis means the kippurei of these golden vessels which had these rims in which he would wipe his finger. Shish Nadava, and there were 6 shofars were for the Dava, and the Gemara is going to explain them. Tan Chayin Shebachol Shana V'Shana, and the Gemara itself now explains it. Mishnah itself explains it, even though like I said, we didn't really have to read the Carbonator. Tan Chayin B'Chol Shana V'Shana, that fiscal year's budget. Atiki Mishlevi Yishtakar, whoever didn't bring the previous year, Shana Shana Ba, brings the following year. Kinim Hein Torin, the larger birds. Goes the Ola Bnei Yonah, the smaller birds. Kulon Olas, Tivi Rabbi Yehuda. They're all Olos. Kulon Rabbi Yehuda. Chachorimim. Kinin echad chatas v'echad ola. They say the kinin one is chatas, one is an ola. Gozoli ola, the kulamos. So actually, it was not larger birds, the smaller birds. It was for kinin for chatas and ola. That was the kinin and gozoli ola or olos. However, shnei eitzim. Somebody that want to bring two woods. To bring wood, levchas and sheikizin, it shouldn't be less than 2 blocks of wood. That the ones that they would. Put 2 fresh blocks of wood on the marach when they brought the carbon atomic. So you have to give the value of 2 gizmin to the blocks. Levona leif chatzim mekometz. Levona should not be less than mekometz levona, which is of course the which will come with each mincha, and the Karmei says v'gemar mefarish minole v'dafka. If you generically say, I wanted to bring a Levona. So if you feel courage, if you want to bring him in 1 crystal, a Levona may be. Zahav lo yivchos dinar zav. And if it's gold, you should not bring less than 1 dinar of zav. So again, if you said stam, I assume you said stam zav. It's not if it's stam, lo yeah. If it's stam, so come here, lo yivchos dinar zav. Okay, then there's Shish Dava, but we're already on Mem Tes Amar Aleph, so we will stop here for today.